Hey everybody, I'm Son with a W, me I'm the Rival, and today we're going to be trying out my tongue twister extravaganza. So first I want you to...
You know what, I never thought I'd be saying this, but it's times like this I kind of really miss Wonder Bread. Hey everybody, Tekking101 here, here to review Bleach chapter number 598, entitled The Shooting Star Project. We only have to beat you. And, hey, you know what, that's a new thing Kubo could do. Instead of doing the sequentially numbered chapter titles that I always bitch him out, maybe you could always do, like, a little subtitle for each one. You know, at least that way, they are at least a little bit different. I mean, he did that a couple times with Deicide. He did Deicide, the end of the Chrysalis Age, and then, oh, this is the biggest FU to the audience, Deicide number 17, or possibly 18, entitled The End. And there were still, like, 7 more after that. Just, dude, what? Why? But, you know, whatever. Continuing from last chapter, we have the epic countdown with Uehara about to blast Ichigo into the game up to the Soul Palace, when all of a sudden, when we hit to number 1, the countdown stops, and then a mysterious voice appears from behind the door to the lab area, and then in comes crashing in Ganju riding on Bonnie, his trusty pig steed. And you know, that's kind of funny, because it's just like last chapter, it was like, 3, 2, 1, and then end of chapter, and it's just, they get to go, and there was no indication that Ganju was going to show up, and then this chapter, it's like, wait, that's not what happened. I mean, if you wanted to set it up really good, you could have like 3, 2, 1, and the last freaking panel, it doesn't even have to be that big. The last panel could have been just like a guy putting his hand on the door ready to open it, or somebody's foot outside. We all know that Kubo loves to end the chapters off with that shadowed foot in the foreground. So yeah, but here it's just kind of like a cock tease. Just like, oh, you thought we were ready to go? No, we got one more chapter before we're ready to go. It's like if you're watching the movie Armageddon, right? And, you know, Bruce Willis and everybody's getting ready to blast it off into space to stop a meteorite with a drill or some stupid shit like that, and then the last second, you know, the thing stops and it's like, wait guys, I'm coming too, and it's a guy we don't even know, so, you know, whatever. Anyway, Ganju arrives with some amazing news after some clever banter with Ichigo, of course, because Ichigo's like, oh yeah, I thought you were here, blah blah blah, this ain't some after school club, you know, whatever. Ganju states that the reason he's here is because, like the last time they got fired off, it was Kukaku that was doing it, but Ganju's task right now is to guide them to the Soul Palace using a map. And he pulls this thing out, and he's like, I'm the only one that could read this thing. And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, I don't know, Ganju, the way that thing's designed, it looks like a straight line to me. I mean, it's arcing a little bit, but this kind of looks like a straight line, in my opinion. I think Ganju just wants to come around with the ride just because he hasn't been in the series for a long time, and he just wants to have some fun. Either that or Kukaku beat the shit out of him for him to go and save them. A little bit about this map. They have like a bunch of these weird circles that the straight line, the arc is going through. I'm assuming those are the 72 barriers that Ichigo crashed down in that Yuha was talking about. That's how he was able to get to the Soul Palace. I'm assuming what those things are. So maybe, like, the pathway has to go through these barriers at a certain way or a certain speed for each one in order to break through it. That's not so much a map as it is just driving instructions, but, you know, whatever. That's the reason Ganju's going. But, hey, weird thing. You know, as I saw Ganju at the beginning of this chapter, I assumed, I'm pretty sure like everybody else assumed, that the Fullbringers were going to show up. I mean, after all, the last time we saw Ganju was with the Fullbringers. Wouldn't make much sense for, you know, the ones that were training with Kukaku to just, you know, split up and Ganju to go to the Soul Palace all by himself, because even Ichigo says this, like, this won't be like any of the battles we faced up till now. This isn't going to be a situation where we were taking back the Soul Society. You know, a lot of people are going to die. This is going to be a big final freaking battle, and let's be honest here, Ganju's not going to be one that's going to be adding a lot of help to this. I mean, he might have gotten a lot stronger. I'm not dissing Ganju. I'm just saying, if Ganju fought against, you know, Hashwalth or Uryu or Yuha, he's going to be deader than a Christmas chicken. That doesn't make any sense, because I don't think you eat chicken around Christmas time. I think it's turkey, but that's my sense. Ganju is fucked! But yeah, the Fullbringers don't show up in this chapter at all, so I'm assuming maybe they're going to go help out with the Vandente issues, you know, their fights, but, you know, like I said, there's not a lot of fights going on in the Vandente that are left. I mean, we have Basby versus Renji and Rukia. Maybe they could help out for that fight. Maybe that would actually kind of make sort of sense, because Basby's like a top-tier Sternritter, so, you know, they might be able to help out with that fight or something, but, you know, I was just expecting them to go to the Soul side, just the Soul Palace, just so they would have, I don't know, some people with them, so, I don't know, they could, you know, show off Hashwall's power and, like curb stomp Tsukishima into the ground, and then at least that way we'd get to know what his true power was, and Ichigo could be like, oh, okay, well, I have to fight this guy, or Chad has to be like, I have to fight this guy. So, hey, what were you going to do if Ganju didn't show up at that exact time with that map? Well, honestly, my default was Google Maps, but, yeah, I'm kind of glad he showed up too. This looks a little bit confusing than it really has to be. Anyway, though, after Ichigo explains the dangers that await Ganju, Ganju has, of course, the tough guy attitude, like, you don't think I know that, dumbass? Bring it on! I got a pig! This pig is like a death pig! So, whatever. I don't know if they bring the pig with them. That'd be kind of funny. If they try to take on Yuha and Hashwald and Uryu with a freaking pig. You know, the pig just comes charging in and, you know, knocks Hashwald down. He's like, what the fuck was that? It was a pig. It'd be pretty funny, anyway. Anyway, so they all cram into the launch pad thing, and then Urahara starts off the countdown once again properly. 3, 2, 1. A little bit less epic this time. Boom! And they get launched into the sky. And while they're getting, you know, sent, you know, through the barriers toward the Soul Palace, we have Orihime, you know, remembering the first time they, in the Soul Society arc when they went to go save Rukia, and how they did basically the same thing in the structure with the Kukaku, you know, cannonball thing. And this is where Kubo got a little bit lazy with the flashback scenes, alright? This next page is, it's very common in Bleach that whenever there's a flashback, the background of the page turns from white to black, so that way you can understand, okay, this is a flashback, okay. And then Kubo usually throws in the flashback scenes with, like, lines over it, like distorted to kind of tell you guys this is a flashback. But here, it's like he literally made the page, like, smaller, like, or he, you know, added less panels than he had to do. Like, the middle of this page is just one single panel. It's not even taking up the full width. It's just, he could have fit a lot of stuff in here, and he's just blowing them up to these insane proportions. But, you know, whatever, that's just an aesthetic point I noticed. Orihime brings up that, you know, this really does take me back, because we went to go save Rukia, although back then, Yoruichi was still a cat. Yoruichi has no, I can still turn into a cat whenever I want. Ha, that's some cute banter. Is anyone gonna ask how she does that still? Because that's still a problem with me. Chad, Ichigo, God, no one's gonna just say, yeah, how do you turn into a cat, actually? I'd like to know that, because I would. Hell, do you know how that works? Does even Kubo know how that works? Does that ladybug sitting on my laptop right now know how that works?
Actually, yes. I know exactly how that works. But I'll never tell you.
Die! Get off my laptop, freaking bug. Alright, so, yeah, basically it's a big, you know, irony fest for everybody. You know, we were with Ryu last time to go rescue Rukia, and now we're going to the Soul Palace to kind of save Ryu or whatever, get him away from Yuha's clutches or whatever. But why isn't Ryu with us this time? Oh, he went over to the enemy, Quincy camp. Oh, but isn't he a Quincy? Oh, yeah, he is, but we thought he was a good one. Yeah, but couldn't you have really kind of seen this coming, considering the fact you weren't around him for so long and the enemies were Quincy's? I mean, what do you think he was doing, just sitting on his hand? Okay, yes, we all kind of overlooked this little thing, but, you know, whatever, Gonshu, you haven't even been in this freaking series since the Soul Society arcs, so shut the fuck up and guide the freaking cannonball. Don't worry, though, guys, because Ichigo has an epic plan on how to bring Ryu back to his side. I'm gonna put the beat down on Yuha, and then I'm gonna grab Ichida, and I'm gonna drag his ass back. Good plan. I am 98% sure it's going to be more complicated than that, Ichigo, but hey, that's your personality trait, so let's go with it. We get the title page, and then we have Uryu himself staring down the epic display of Sternritter W, Nyanto Aizel. Though, like I said, it's impossible. All the enemies I've seen have twisted and turned and avoided me right between my eyes. In short, Tekking was right, and I'm not the fucking wind, I'm the wind. There, I told you I was right. See, his power has nothing to do with the air or the wind. It's all about bending or twisting attacks that come directly toward him. And he's telling this to Shutara, who is just kind of watching him, you know, kind of like gauging what to do next. And we see Korinji in the background, too, who's just standing there, and he's just, like, shocked at all the stuff he's been displaying, because he, once again, is another monologuing villain who just explains how his freaking power works to everybody. He explains that this is what happened with Korinji's water. I assume that, you know, the first time when Korinji used his water, that's what used to go bend around Yuha, as well as with the attack Korinji used, and even Shutara's little BDSM squad members, all their swords got bent as well. That's his ability, basically. And he's telling this to Shutara and basically saying any attack that I can see coming. So Shutara comes up with the simple solution, like, well, if it's attacks that you see coming, by that logic, you won't be able to stop attacks that you don't see coming. So behind Nyanzo, we have these little, I guess they're like transparent, invisible cloths, kind of like in invisibility cloaks, sort of, whereas the cloth was made to look like the pillar behind it, so that way people could hide behind the cloth and it looks like there's nobody there. So then we have more BDSM squad members appearing behind Nyanzo, go to stab him, but the attacks don't work as all. They just kind of get, the swords themselves get physically bent backwards, and Nyanzo's just sitting there, he's like, yeah, sorry guys, I'm a little just bad with words, I'm sorry about that. Basically what I meant by attacks that I can see is attacks I can see by instinct or intuition. I don't have to physically see it with my eyes. A little bit of a theory exactly what Shutara's BDSM squad members were. Some people think that they were actually her Zanpakuto and Shikai. Like, her Shikai releases a bunch of these, like, soldiers that she can control with her own will. Because last chapter, when they attacked Nyanzo, she stated, like, I can't cut him, not they can't cut him. So, I mean, that's possible. I wouldn't doubt that Zanpakuto that had the ability to create an entire death troop. Because we saw that with Rose's Bankai to an extent, like, creating puppets that you can manipulate. But considering Shutara's whole deal is that she basically creates fabric that can do whatever, like god fabrics, it would be not a far stretch for me to say that she could make sentient living fabrics, or at least fabrics that, you know, take a human form that she can control using her, you know, 1,000 hands, you know, like puppetry sort of deal, like the puppet master jutsu from Naruto, essentially. It wouldn't be a far cry for me to say she could do that and the swords were just embedded in them. But either way, you know, it's an extension of her power, so I can understand why she was saying, you know, it was me cutting him and not them, or, you know, my soldiers or whatnot. Questions, though. Why is Korinchi just standing there doing nothing? And secondly, where did Yuha, Hashwealth, and Uryu go? What the hell? It's like Yuha's, you know, stomping through the Soul Palace like a freaking boss, like I'm owning this place, you guys can't touch me. And then Nyanzo pops up. So here's my question, and it's actually a very simple one. Why the hell did you have Nyanzo appear at that moment? Like why? Like, you were untouchable, literally. Why did you have Nyanzo pop up and complicate everything by explaining his power and, you know, giving Shutara the idea, like, oh, I need to attack that guy now, and if I kill him, I can touch Yuha. It would make more sense just to have Nyanzo hide in the shadows the entire time, and the entire Soul Palace is just, like, completely confused, like, what's going on? We can't touch the guy, and then wait until you get to the Soul Palace, and then, wait till you get to the center of the Soul Palace, the Soul King's, you know, area, and then just do what you need to do. Like, there's no reason why Nyanzo had to pop up at all. I'm just saying. Anyway, he uses his powers, I guess, to completely twist off the top halves of 3 of Shutara's BDSM soldiers, and then he states, I'm sorry for being ineloquent. But Shutara responds to this by saying, well, when I said enemies that were unseen, I wasn't just talking about them, I was talking about the fact that using my 1,000 Hands ability, I was able to completely reweave the fabric of your clothing, which was good, because let's face it, Nyanzo's outfit was a little odd. You know, at first I didn't think it even had, like, arms on it, and the bottom had, like, these frills. It didn't work, and he was doing the barefoot thing. I didn't like that. Anyway, though, Shutara retailored his fabrics to add a Zero Squad member emblem on them, and now she's basically in complete control of his wardrobe, and, you know, he's, like, freaking out, like, wait, you're lying, when did you do this? And she's like, well, I'm noticed for being a fast worker, I have 1,000 arms, basically, that she's, you know, she was able to sneak her way through the security of the 12th Division and open up the gates and, you know, take back all those people from Chapter 518, so, 517, I believe. So, you know, that's not a big deal that she was able to completely rework his fabrics while he was being attacked by the BDSM squad. And Nyanzo's reaction to this, though, is a lot like everybody's reaction, I believe. Like, okay, you added a new symbol, you retailored my fabrics, that's nice, do I have to pay you for dry cleaning? I'm like, what's that gonna do? And Shutara just strikes the death stare on him, and it's just like, don't even dream about taking it off till you die. What the hell's gonna happen? Oh, boy, that's gruesome! I love it! Alright, so that's the end of the chapter, and Nyanzo just basically gets Iron Maiden skewered from the inside out, using Shutara's fabric, so I'm assuming that's what her ability is. Like, any fabric that, you know, she personally works on, or works her own fabric into it, she can manipulate at will. Maybe it's like she could turn the fabric into, like, iron or steel, or manipulate its, its density or length or structure to make, like, okay, now the twine I added to your fabric will become spikes that are, like, 6 feet long, made of freaking titanium, and just stab you from the inside out. So, I mean, it would make sense that a Zero Squad member is actually finally acting like a fucking Zero Squad member, like the kind we assume they would act, like they're already really badass, they can take out an enemy, no problem, and that just brings up more questions of why Nyanzo showed up now when he could have just stayed hidden, because when he showed his face, Shutara's like, oh, okay, I know what's going on now, I just have to kick your ass, and he does, so there you go. But I'm assuming, like, maybe we're going to continue on with the theory I had last chapter with Yuha and Hashwealth, you know, bringing a certain selection of Stern Ritters to them, like, okay, Nyanzo, you go handle Shutara, and then Stern Ritter M or N, you know, you deal with Nimaya, and then C can deal with Ichibe, and then I'm going to confront, you know, the Soul King, personally. So that's my theory here. Also, another thing that I've just been thinking a lot about this guy the past week. What exactly Halfwolf's going to be doing? I mean, I guess we could have Hashwolf versus one of the Zero Squad members. Maybe it's like, I'm sorry, I forgot about Kirio. Sorry. So we have Korinji and Shutara for Ninzel. Maybe the other Stern Ritter that we're unaware of will fight against Nimaya, and then maybe Stern Ritter C will fight against Kirio, maybe, and then Hashwolf could fight against Ichibe, because Ichibe is sort of like the, I don't know, second in command underneath the Soul King, sort of. I don't know if they have a hierarchy, but maybe some deal like that. But I like to just see him in this chapter, because it's honestly like we have no idea what's freaking going on, but, you know, whatever. Nyanzel's probably dead. That's cool. Hope we get to see the other 3 or 4, well, actually, we already know Shaz Domino and Colonel Sanders, but there's still 2 more that we're unaware of, so hopefully we'll get to see them in coming chapters. Chapter 600 is approaching, guys! Big deals! So yeah, this will be Tekking101 signing out. Thanks for watching.
Yes, it is coming. And so much more, my dear Tekking. So much more is coming.